Hello, hi, and welcome. So, I finally updated my OBS. I don't think this thing has been updated since I installed it, like 2 years ago? No. Yeah, about a year ago. A year and a few weeks. A year and a month-ish ago. And now I got like the little camera thing has a little camera next to it. The other thing has like a paintbrush next to it. The virtual camera is here now. So let's get right into today. I feel like I was going to say something, but I don't remember what it was. So I guess I'm not going to say anything besides that. Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, hold up. So yesterday was the Ace of Swords. Today, make sure everything's in frame. Oh, I was gonna say that today is a laundry deep condition. Find my AirPods after like months, literally months of them being missing. Vacuuming, cleaning kind of day. It's a Virgo day today, I guess. Oh. Who this? The Five of Pentacles? Oh no, it's the Six, girl. The Six of Pentacles. I love this Six of Pentacles because it's in a meditative pose. Let me hold it up. There we go. It's the Six of Pentacles. And it implies that there's some like internal balance that creates external stability. And it's like kind of sort of big faith energy. Why is this so high? There we go. I don't know. Did that change anything? Who knows? Because it's not that things don't happen internally or externally. There's also like a moon cycle. There's a lunar energy here. But it's like between phases of the moon. Because if it were like full or new, I feel like this or one of these moons would have lined up like right above her head. But it's kind of sort of past a little bit. It does feel like, though, there's dissatisfaction here. And it's creating that, it's echoing out, mirroring out, pulsing out somehow. And one of these pentacles is in her hand, the other one isn't. And so that feels like there's something that we're waiting to receive, but there's something that we're also holding on to that interferes with our receiving of the thing. Or that's one thing. I think the other is like there's also an energy here that speaks of cause and effect and randomness. But it's not. It's more, it's like a divine operating type of thing. Like if this is one pentacle, then she has to like throw it up and let go of it to get it to come over here. Now, all she can do is sort of like gauge how much strength she needs to throw this pentacle and like the angle and stuff like that, right? But once it's in the air, then she loses control because there's nothing else that she can do. And then that takes me back to what I was feeling first, which is that faith, which is that solidness in just believing that things are going to come around. And her pose doesn't break. Right? Because if this is like a time-lapsed image of one pentacle being thrown, she would have to be completely still during that whole time in order for there not to be like like one of those, you know, types of effects going on, because there's only one of her, but there's 6 pentacles. So she would have to maintain her composure and her posture the whole time. Now again, it's like this is stopped before she actually receives it, before it actually hits the next hand. But then there comes in this little like golem energy. It's like, my precious, I can't even do it. But it's not letting go. It's too fixated on the path or control, or it doesn't trust enough, doesn't believe enough, or it isn't willing to get this thing to go where it's going. It's like a snowball. It needs to pick up more snow to get bigger, but it can't do that. It can't get any bigger if you're like limiting it because of your hands. And so today, I'm actually going to grab another deck. I'm feeling the Witch's Tarot. Wait, I should think of the 6 of Pentacles cards. It's not from the Pride Tarot. It could be from the SKT, but I don't feel like going that deep. Witch's Tarot is like, I can't remember what the 6 of Coins looks like in here. Oh, I'll just use both of them. Okay. That works. Done it, boy. That's me. My dreams have been like weird lately. Like not good weird, not terrible weird, just weird. And then I'll have a lot of dreams. And they all just be so weird. I'm like, what is this? Not all of them. But it's just like, I feel like, oh goodness. I feel like a lot of stuff is trying to surface from places that have been maybe like from the deepest recesses of my mind or something. Maybe Mercury retrograde is like, hey, remember when you used to think about this? Well, here it is again. I'm just like, what is this? I'm like, is it time to like clean house or something? Like, it's just like another purge. Like, you bring it to my mind, and I'm like, okay, that's weird, and I keep moving, or like, what? I don't know. I just want to make sure I got this up right. I do. That was the Wheel of Fortune that split out with the Ace of Swords, Judgment, and the Seeker of Swords, Page of Swords energy. That's interesting. I thought more than one card fell. Oh my gosh. I can't do another incomplete deck. Y'all need to stop going on the flow. It's like, well, you need to vacuum the flow. And it's time for you to vacuum. That's why we keep sending cards down there. Clean this space. I think this is it. Oh, should I count them? I'll just count them. I'll just count them. So, that line from Wicked just came to my mind. Um, when Glinda is like, it's the line where Elphaba says, "But I don't want it. No, I can't want it anymore." Like, that's the line that popped into my mind. But I don't want it. No, I can't want it anymore. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm done with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Something has changed here. And it's like in the course of us releasing it, we've realized that we don't want it anymore. Because it wasn't until we released it that we were able to sort of like see all of the ways that it affected us, maybe see all the things that it made us become, or all of the things that it came with. Now, for me personally, the Six Pentacles is like my soulmate card, but I ain't getting none of them vibes off of this today. I had a dream. There was this weird. It's like sometimes I'll have a dream, and there's like this whole dream context that may or may not exist. Because it's like, so in the dream I had last night, it was about like a show that a lot of people were watching on Netflix. And I woke up, I think I was at my dad's, and he had it on like his screen. For some reason, his ceiling was super high, and dude had like stuff all the way up the wall. I'm like, what the? And then he got on like a ladder or something to like take something off the wall or put something on the wall. I'm like, you live like this? Like, I'm afraid of heights. Well, it's a mixture of my fear of heights and my just general clumsiness as to why I don't like ladders. Um, because I guess I don't trust my stability to overcome that fear of heights. But it was like a show that he was talking about, and then I have another dream where I'm like in the show. And I remember there was one part, there's this crew, and like everybody ends up dying, basically. And I remember there was this one point where, oh, okay, I'm not even gonna go there. Anyway, there was somebody had found out some stuff, and they were like repulsed by it. And they were like, oh, okay, well, let's go on this mission where I don't have to work with anybody who engages in that behavior. But there was someone on the team who did. And he ended up killing the dude that was like, ew. And then there was like a third team member. He ended up killing the dude who killed the other dude. And then there were a few other people there, and they were about to go do something. And there was another team that showed up that was like, oh, we're about to go do this. And there was some kind of cash prize or whatever. There was a reward for completing the mission. And it was a 3-person team, maybe like 2 3-person teams. And I was there, but I was kind of more of an observer than anything. I wasn't really doing anything. I was just like watching the show, but I was in the show for some reason. And there was one person who went way back with somebody on the other team. Now the other team, like, they were the rock stars. They were the team who, like, they were the team to beat. They were the A team. The team we're looking at, they're like the C or the D or the F team or the G team. And they were like, hey, like, remember when we went way back? Or like, remember when I got that score or whatever. like in the past, like I think I can do it again. Like I don't think, like I know I can do it again. So I would appreciate it if y'all back off and let us have this, because y'all know like we don't get much, and we could really use this, and we can do this. And the leader of the other group was like, no, like we're going for this. And then that's when that person appealed to the person that he had the connection with, and it was like all dudes and then an all girl team, and they were like, okay. And then like we're in the mission. I think they ended up doing it together. And the leader from the other team was just like cut the communications from the other side, and then we'll just like go in and like do this like real quick. But somebody on our team was like, he didn't do it. He didn't really explain why he didn't do it their way, but their leader was getting frustrated. And so instead of like just cutting communications and going straight to wherever, it was like he was clearing a path to get there, and he was like taking people out one by one. And I remember he came to like this electric box, and he was like, I could do it their way, but I'm going to do it my way, because if we cut communications, like everybody is going to know that we're here. But if we carve a path through, then we look a little more inconspicuous. We look a little less conspicuous, right? Like if you cut communications, can't nobody talk with nobody all over the place. So they all gonna be on high alert, and we're trying to go in and do something. But maybe that's how they roll. They just go in guns a blazing or whatever. He was like, nah, we ain't doing that. But anyway, we make it through the place. We're about to leave, or we're leaving. And then the dude who was like best friends with the other one, who was like let us have this, please. I'm like walking behind everybody because again, I'm the observer. I'm like watching the show, but I'm just like there for some reason in it. And we're leaving, and he pulls out a gun, and I'm like, girl, what are you doing? And holds it up to the back of the head of like the person that he went way back with. He's like, we're not gonna share this. Like, this is all mine. I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening? Why are you doing this? And it was like him, me, and then two other people on the other side. Now, gender in this dream was fluid AF, because the dude by this point had turned into a girl, and the girl was still a girl, but the leader had turned into a dude. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? And I guess he thinks that they're unarmed, and they're shook. I'm shook. This person think they about to get away with whatever. And so he starts, or she now, they start monologuing about how like they're not gonna share it, and they like had planned this from the beginning or something. And like, so first it was like at the back of her neck, the base of her neck. I guess he was gonna paralyze her. Oh my gosh. Um, but then like they turned around, and it was like, whoa. And then like, dude, they were pointing the gun at him. And I'm like, what are you doing? Can you not? Like, can we not do this, please? And so they're backing up away from, like, trying to put distance between them. And then he's talking about all the stuff that he's gonna do with the money. He turns around. He's like spinning in circles as he's like, oh my gosh, I did it. But when his back is turned, she like pulls out a gun real quick and shoots him in the back. And then the other dude was looking at me like, y'all planned this from the beginning? I was like, no. Like, if we planned this, then I would have had a gun to the back of your head too. Like, obviously I didn't know that this was happening. I'm just as shook as y'all are. And then he said, like, where's the sun? Now, I remember it as like, where's the sun? But it was like the ship. It's like some spaceship thing. It's the ship that we came in on. But we had the third teammate, the one who was carving the path through instead of just cutting communications. He No, I'm playing Borderlands 3 right now, so this part of the dream is inspired by that. He like that he's the first one who changed into a girl. and he's like at this like pole dancing type place. I don't know, getting intel or blending in with the enemy or something until we got there. And then they're like, oh, you're really good. Like the gig pays like $1,000 a night or whatever, $1,000 for whatever. And he was like, oh, and I don't think like he wasn't really into what we were doing anymore anyway. So I think he ended up taking it. And I remember when we were walking outside. Oh my gosh, did I just smack that? I think it's fine. When we were walking outside, he told them, he was like, the girl on the left, like that's our dude. And they're like, who? Which one? The blonde one? I thought it was the blonde one, but it was like, no, the other one. Like, I really thought it was the blonde one. And I'm watching it. And then she yells something, and then he looked back, and that's how we know it was him. But like, he was gone. And I think he was the one that actually knew where the ship was, or the one that they had just killed. I'm like, I'm just the observer. I'm just watching. Like, I don't know where it is. And then I don't know if I got shot or not. I just like closed my eyes and braced for the worst, and then I woke up. And I don't know why that's coming to mind now. But like that person's greed in the end, their willingness to turn on somebody who apparently they had went like way back with. I'm also playing Persona right now, so maybe that's where the greed part came in. Like everybody is just a tool to be used to get what you want. The dude who was doing the stuff that he was doing, like low key and undercover, the wrath that he felt when the other person was like, ew, like I can't believe someone's doing that. Not knowing that he's working with someone who's doing that, and then that person killed him, and then the other person killed him. I'm just like, what are dreams lately? I don't even know. And it's like a lot of it I'm not even involved in. I'm just like watching it. I'm like, oh, what the freak is this? I don't know. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. And then I had another dream about pull-out urinals that turned into toilets. So hey, like I had to poop. There was a urinal with like a little thing on it, and I'm like, I don't want to touch it because it's a bathroom, but I'm like, I gotta poop and it ain't no toilets in here. So I pull it. I was like, oh. So I guess I sit on this. Bathrooms are always weird in my dreams. Okay. I don't know what that was about. Throw that away if it don't resonate. I guess also I did talk about the Seven of Cups the other day. It was right after the Queen of Pentacles. And I was like, this is one of the 7 deadly sins that for some reason keeps you from getting what it is that you want. It could be your wrath. It could be your greed. It can be anything. Doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. And then fearing that you're going to get found out. So you just go crazy. 1. I feel like I need a shuffle. I am going to shuffle these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm just going to make sure I got all my cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. Oh, I guess these are all square. Y'all can see these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last card is the Lovers. Ooh. And there's 79 because I have the title card in here. So 78 plus the title card is 79. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these a shuffle. And then I'm going to pull before and after the 6 of coins. I'm going to do it in this light deck, and I'm going to do it in the dark deck. And I'm not going to say that one is aligned and the other is less aligned, because the 6 of coins is about giving and receiving. So the giving part would be the lighter side. The receiving part would be the darker one. And so maybe we'll look at both aspects, the giving and the receiving. There's the sun. The sun came out with the Eight of Wands. He was like, "Where's the ship?" I was just so shook. I was just so shook because I watched it unfold before my eyes because I'm behind everybody. I see that gun come out their back pocket and go right to the base of that other girl head, her neck, at the base of the neck or whatever. I'm just like, and I said like, "Girl, what are you doing?" And then he was like, I was like, if I was in on it, I would have been all the way in on it. I wouldn't have been as shocked and surprised as y'all was. I wouldn't have like alerted y'all to what was happening. First of all, I would have just let it happen. And he was like, "Well, you didn't stop." And I'm like, "What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I'm shook. I'm shocked. I'm frozen in disbelief. Was I supposed to like tackle her or shoot her or something?" Like, and then it's just like because of what she did, like they couldn't trust me. I think the other girl was shook because she ain't really saying nothing. It was the leader who was like, "Well, I can't trust you now." I'm like, "Well, girl, like I'm literally the only one left on my team now. So, and if I was in on it, like you wouldn't have been here, she wouldn't have been here." I don't know. It was a weird dream. Who this? Was this the Conqueror of Wands? It's the Seeker of Swords again. I think the Seeker of Swords energy, there's a recognition here of all of the limitations that I've mentioned. And the Seeker of Swords is looking to be free of them. That's why that bird is on there. Trying to be free. The sword is pointed downward. The bird is going up. It feels like an energy of mental gymnastics to not like be popping off at the mouth or to be always going in or whatever, to see things a new way. With the Conqueror of Coins at the bottom of the deck. So this goes back to yesterday. Right? The Seeker of Swords is the hermit that's trying to learn how to. It's the hermit that's finding the fragments of their sword and piecing their sword back together. Who comes into at least the Knight of Pentacles space of mastery. Maybe not the full king. But the only difference between like the Knight and the full king in this context is that a full king like helps others. And for some people it is their path to be teachers and mentors and to go into the darkness and to pull others out. For other people, they're not necessarily equipped to do that. And so maybe they like anchor in other things. Or maybe they focus more on brightening the broom in other ways. And there is a sword in this Knight of Coins, the Conqueror of Coins. And the Ace of Wands is behind it, coming into that light in the darkness. There's an upright sword in the Conqueror of Coins, but a downward pointing sword in the Seeker of Swords. And I'm going to say that this is an energy for now-ish, if y'all can see, because before when the moon was filling, it was crescented at the bottom. And so theoretically, as it's emptying, it's going to be crescented at the top. And we have that upper crescented moon with that pentacle in there, kind of sort of eclipsing it. Not that one, this one. There we go. I'm going to slide these two back in the deck. And then I'll put them here and here. I'll go looking for that Six of Coins after I shuffle this one. Yeah, a lot of stuff. And then, like, my past is coming back up in dreams. And I'm just like, what is happening? So weird. Also, like, I don't know, I've been, like, nauseous-ish at some point. I don't know if it's because I just thought my eye drops, but it was like one day I was playing Animal Crossing. And I remember years ago when I saw a 240p TV in like Walmart, and it made me nauseous because it was so smooth. Like, I remember it was one of the Percy Jackson movies, I think it was the second one, that was on the screen, and they were on a boat, and I got like seasick just watching it because of how smooth it was. And I'm like, oh. And there are some games, I don't know if it's like the lights and the colors or what, that they just like make me nauseous when I play them. And it's like, oh, maybe I'll get over it, but the longer I play, the more nauseous I get, and I'm just like, oh, maybe I'm like partially epileptic or something. I don't know. But it just got like really, like my vision just got really sharp, and I'm like, whoa. And then I pulled out my phone, and it was still sharp, and I wasn't wearing my readers because I only wear my readers like when I need them, really. But then I started to get like nauseous, like I'm seeing too well. Ugh. I don't know. And I've been a little headachy. Not like super headachy, but I remember I was doing a read or preparing to do a read a few days before, like the day before the full moon, I think the night before. Yeah, it was the night before the full moon. And like the little headache just came in. And it was like one of those crown headaches, but it was like resting behind my third eye. And usually when I feel the third eye, it feels closer to the surface of my forehead. But this one, it was like in the forehead or in the third eye area, but like in my brain. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And it's like come and gone. I'll just like close my eyes or whatever, and I'll be like, just release, release, and then I'll start to feel better. So weird stuff happening going on. I don't know. Okay, one more. Also, I got another deck coming. Oh gosh, I don't even have any more space. All right, I'm going to start with this one. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Coins, followed by the Conqueror of Swords. So there's the Eight of Coins that I was talking about yesterday. I gotta hold it this way so y'all can see it. There you go. There's the Eight of Coins. And then the Conqueror of Swords. Hold up, wait! Oh, this is the Seeker of Wands. I thought it was swords because it's got another sword in it. The Seeker of Wands is a... No, this is a... This is the Conqueror of Swords. What is happening with my eyes? It is the Conqueror of Swords. This is Knight of Swords energy, which didn't come up because it was either the Knight, it was the 8 into the Knight into the King of Pentacles. Here's the 8 of Pentacles, but it goes into a Knight of Swords, the Conqueror of Swords. Now these, I don't know if these are roots or thorns. I think they're thorns. These are thorns that are surrounding the sword, but there's also wings on here. There's an energy of responsibility here. With great power comes great responsibility, essentially. And then the Four of Wands into the Six of Wands. which is another 10 of Wands, but instead of the 8, 2, 10 that we saw under patience, it's a 4, 6. So it's like in celebrating our accomplishments and achievements, it fuels us to accomplish and achieve even more. It's like taking stock of where we are so that we feel better capable of doing what it is that we still need to do. It's like recognizing and realizing that this is something that we've been preparing for and that we've been prepared for. But when you just try to like go head first into it, and then when you're immediately met with challenge, you pull out, it's like when the going gets hard, when the going gets tough, like remember that you're prepared for this and you can do it. So it's a more, I believe, successful approach to the 10 of Wands energy, because the 8 and the 2 are too quick to really see it through. And then here is the Seeker of Wands with the 2 of Wands and the 6 of Cups. So excuse me. So yeah, that's like trying to go back and trying to claim something else. Now we have the Seeker of Swords with the 10 of Swords and the Hanged One, followed by death. So that's not great. All right, I'm going to turn these up right because I need to find the 6 of Wands. Ooh, the Emperor and the Empress are together. The Pillar and the Anchor. Okay. That was interesting. The Hermits with the Hierophant. And the 7 of Wands. That makes sense. 8 of Wands is with the Tower. So, yeah. 6 of Swords. Where are the 6 of Wands? I didn't see all the other 6s. Here it is. Ooh! The Ruler of Wands and the High Sage. This is it's interesting that the Ruler of Wands came out in the Dark deck, because the Ruler of Wands are the King of, it was the Prince of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the Chariot. Prince of Wands would be the dark horse in that one, because it is. And so here it's coming out with that High Sage energy. And I'm using like dark and light now. So again, it was a feeling of like knowing that it wasn't going to be easy, but it may be a little more difficult than the darker energy initially thought. And it's not darker as in more whatever. It's just the dark horse, the light horse. It's the dark horse, right? And there is that tendency to want to just like run away and to remain a prince forever. But with the High Sage coming out with this, and this is the receptive side, our ego can get in the way when it comes to receiving. And with the High Sage here, whatever it is that we're not receiving, I think we're going to begin to see, we have the opportunity at the very least. Excuse me. Maybe somebody just need to talk, communicate with somebody. But I think we're beginning to see the ways in which our ego keeps us from fully receiving them or fully being present. Or there are things that our intuition is telling us to do with that High Sage energy, but we don't want to release whatever little bit of control we think we have to receive it. And like this is all about releasing that one in order for it to accumulate more snow in the air. It condenses moisture in the air and it gets bigger. Okay, don't ask me. And then it comes back larger. And it's like with this Ouroboros here, usually this card carries an energy of like self-control with that Ouroboros, but here it's limiting us in some way, because it keeps us from getting that enlightenment that is the flame of this at the top of the wand. And sometimes it's like if we can't control, like if we have control issues and we can't control the other person in the situation, then at least we can control our participation in the situation. Because you got to control something, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to set these here. So over here at the bottom is the Ace of Wands again into the World card. Now what's interesting, and then the Lovers and the Six of Cups, of course, because why wouldn't it be? What's interesting here is that there's similar imagery to the Ruler of Wands, that King of Wands energy in this World card, but the third eye is like huge on this card. Yeah, I'm sorry. There you go. You see that? It has the Ouroboros with the wand, but now there's that big old third eye in the middle of the Ouroboros with the wings on it, and we have the laurel mandorla that is completion. But the mandorla is often used for like holy figures or to depict certain moments within, I don't know why I want to say a holy trilogy, but it's the story of a worshipped figure. And it's like this completion. It's carrying, like, usually judgment has the energy of resurrection, but there is a resurrected energy here. Or it's like a fire that we thought went out a long time ago or something like that. But it's back and burning brighter than ever. And then under that is the Lovers with the star. And I think in this context, it's about making those choices and decisions from that healed space. And making choices and decisions from that healed space creates the space for this star to come in and for this wish to be granted. And if that wish is love, then it creates the space for that to be. But not without all of this stuff that we need to do within ourselves being done. And it's interesting, here's the King of Wands. There's the High Sage, which would definitely, High Priestess energy, could definitely put that third eye in the middle of that Ouroboros on the wand and elevate us there. But it's not enough just to like know it is there. Like we also have to make decisions and act and do. And it's carrying an energy of the North Node in Gemini as well. And with the Six of Cups here, it feels like something that we've had to find the love. We've had to begin to love ourselves enough to do some of these more difficult things to get this. It's like a time release because the clock is up there, but it's not a date. It's that self-love. It's the wall of roses that keeps those two cups at the top separate from the four at the bottom. And it's that, what, 10-10 energy? No, that's not 10-10. It's 10 because the 2 is 10 and 10 because the 10 is 10. But that's like a 250. Or, oh, 10-10, yeah. Yeah, duh, that's 10-10. Because the hour hand is on the 10 and the minute hand is on the 2. 10-10. Okay, goodness. I was like, yeah, it is 10-10. All right. 5 of coins. Let's go for the 7. Ooh, the Chariot. 5 of swords, double 9 of swords, 7 of coins, 5 of wands, 3 of cups. That felt a little thick, but ain't nothing else there. Ooh, okay. Doesn't look like it's necessarily going to be easier on either side, which is fine. Because if we have challenges giving, we probably too have challenges receiving in some way. Or one influences and affects the other or something. So over here, when it comes to giving, there's the moon and the Conqueror of Wands. Now, in this deck, the Conqueror of Wands is a lot more, with the Moon card, it's a lot more complicated than it needs to be. And then here's the Six of Coins if you were curious. What's interesting, though, is like there are no coins on this scale. Because they're tied up in whatever this hand at the top is doing. And again, with that third eye looking up at that hand, it takes me back to the energy of time release. But it's not a day on the calendar or an hour on the clock. It's when a certain set of conditions have been met, which could be self-love or love enough of self to begin to see and address and do the things that we need to do that keep us from our happiness rather than like actively sabotaging it. But like all of that, like the two coins that would actually be on the scale, they're tied up. And the other coins fall in between the scale. And then there's a little third eye right there looking up at the hand. That's the Six of Coins. And so over here it's the Moon and the Conqueror of Wands. Arrows in this deck represent swiftness. And the snake, it hasn't bitten, it's like it's released its tail, but it's tangled up. It's so tangled up upon itself, trying to get whatever this fire is, that it can't move. Like the arrows that are supposed to be quick movement and things like that, they're tied up and wrapped up in the snake. Where is it? There it is. Let's see if I can get. There you go. You see, it's all wrapped up in the snake, the arrows, and so it can't get anywhere. Like, and it's not biting its tail, because there's the tail, there's the head, but it's all wrapped up. And then there's that moon card. Now, this moon is the one. This is what the moon looked like a few, or maybe a week ago, when I was like there's some cards in the Threads of Fate Weaver Tarot that have a crescented moon on the bottom. It looked like that, and it was super. The moon's been so bright lately. Like the full moon was so luminous. I'm like, ooh, girl, go ahead and shine, I guess. Shine a light in the dark. And then the other moon, the one that we're coming to, was in the deck somewhere. Maybe it was at the bottom of the deck somewhere or something. But it's like it's like, and this is in the space of giving. So we want to give, but there are certain things that like we want to hold back. And as long as we hold them back, this isn't going to go anywhere. Because for Chariot energy to work, for Six of Pentacles energy to work, there has to be a free exchange. Freely giving, freely receiving, nothing held back. And which I remember saying something about mental gymnastics. There was a mental gymnastics energy. Well, it's mental gymnastics that also affects the way that we show up. Because it's a Wands energy, like that's actions, and it's like when your actions don't line up with what it is that you say, or when you start, basically you're in your own way, because the things that you don't want to face are the things that you don't want to talk about. And look, there's the third eye trapped under all that ice. So until that ice melts, we're not getting that world energy. There's this big old star energy, though, with the moon. Actually, I think this is more the sun. So in an eclipse, this is an eclipse with this moon. Because that's the sun You see some of the rays on the outside of the moon, but it's like the moon is hollow enough for you to see the sun behind it. And so whatever it is that we think we're hiding, I don't think we're hiding it as well as we think we are. Because our actions tell us. Our actions betray us. Our actions reveal what it is that we're trying to hide the most. And it's like, if, let's say that someone is mostly competent in their job and they want to look perfect at their job. And so they do everything except for one thing. And for some reason, someone is looking at that person's weaknesses, or looking for that person's weaknesses. Maybe it's the space of a supervisor who is looking to grow their employees, and so they're looking for an area where you can improve, right? But in your mind, it's like, well, I'm perfect at everything I do, so there's no need for me, like, there's nowhere for me to improve. I'm going to get that raise because I'm perfect. Everything I do, I succeed, right, at. But there are certain things that you don't do. And when you do everything except for one thing, it makes it pretty obvious and apparent where that hole is within your skill set. And it's like one day performance evaluations are coming up, and it's like whenever your supervisor or your manager would tell you to do something, or your boss would tell you to do something, you'd find a way to push it off on someone else, or to get someone else to do it because you don't want to be perceived struggling, right? Because you're trying to get that raise or whatever. You know that evaluations are coming up. And somebody higher up notices and they have you do it specifically. And you fail at it. And the energy is like, you fail at it because you spent so much time trying to hide this because you were trying to do well in your evaluation, that if you would have talked to or taken instruction from the person that you continue to put this off on, they would have been able to help you cover this weakness. But now it's like, maybe you got praise and maybe you got accolades because everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're amazing at everything you do. How are you so perfect? And maybe that made it worse. Maybe that conflated the issue, right? Maybe it's like, oh, well, now they view me this way. At first, I was just avoiding it because I'm not great at it and I don't like doing stuff I'm not good at. But now everyone sees me like this. I don't want to ruin their image of how they see me or blah, 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 whatever. And so you don't engage in it at all. And in reality, all of those times that your supervisor and your manager were asking you to do that, those were opportunities for you to improve so that when evaluations came, you would have been solid. But since you were so deep in trying to control how other people see you and view you, back to control issues, I guess, you left yourself wide open and more vulnerable than you would have been if you had just expressed a little vulnerability in the moment. And it's like, there were people there that you went to. So I feel like there's a way that you could have done this that was available to you that maybe you know now, because hindsight is 2020. And it's like, man, like, I should have just did it. I should have just said it. I should have just been upright the first time, because then it became this whole facade illusion that I had to maintain. And like, the unfortunate part is, it's like, you hiding that gets the boss, the big boss, the person who signs off on evaluations or who's actually performing the evaluations, it just reflects poorly on you. That's something that you would hide instead of seeking to better yourself in that way. And it's like with this company, for whatever reason, like, they're not looking for perfection. They're looking for people who are looking to grow and evolve and change. And maybe behind this evaluation would have been a promotion. But with your inability to face difficulty and challenges, it's like, well, we can't promote you up the company, because the higher you go up the company, the greater the level of difficulty that you encounter. We can't promote you above your position if you can't even if you can't even face the challenges that your position presents, because they only get harder. The decisions only get more difficult the higher up you go. And your lack of a willingness, or honestly, it's perceived as a lack of an ability to even try to grow or to expand or to face things that aren't easy. It's like, this is what was at stake, and these are the reasons why you're not going to get it. And it takes me back to almost a year ago now, maybe it's like last March. I was like, I feel like the wheel is going to start turning, and if the wheel doesn't turn in your life, you're going to know that you were the reason why it didn't turn. And it's like, I don't like saying that. I don't like feeling like that, because I've been that person who's actively sabotaged my own happiness and opportunity in life. And I know what it feels like. But it's like, that's what is here. Like, me not saying it or not bringing it up isn't going to make it less likely to happen later. It's like, I bring it up and I say it in hopes that we face the challenges that life presents us instead of running away from them, because it's the challenges that make us stronger and prepare us. And like I said earlier with that Six of Pentacles, it's like, or with the 6 and the 4 Ten of Wands instead of the 8 and the 2 Ten of Wands, like that running away from challenge to make yourself look as good as you possibly can, that's an 8 and 2 approach to the Ten of Wands. The 4 and the 6 is doing the hard work to get better and to at least be able to show that you can face challenge. So then the Ten of Wands doesn't feel like the Ten of Wands, because you break it down into the 4 and the 6. I've done this before. I haven't done this exactly, but I've done something similar. I've surpassed my limits before. I've overcome difficulty and challenge before, and I can do it again. And I am going to do it now. But the 8 and 2, it's like, oh, it was difficult, so I ran away. Oh, it got hard, so I quit. And I don't know. It's not like time is of the essence, but if something isn't paying out energetically, like that release is going to happen. That was one pentacle that took the path of 6. So if the release doesn't happen, you get stuck at the 1. You don't get to 10. And numerologically, they're the same, but the energy is different. Because 1, it's like the beginning of a cycle, but the 10 is the beginning of a new one. Or it's the opportunity at the very least. But we all make choices and decisions. And those choices and decisions have consequences and repercussions. So if you don't take opportunities to grow and to challenge yourself and to better yourself, or if you don't take opportunities to face the challenges and difficulties that are before you, then how are you supposed to elevate anywhere where they're going to be harder or more difficult? I don't know. Oh, look at this. The Moon card. Okay. And the bottom of the deck is the Lovers. So instead of the Lovers being that making choices from the healed place, where we grow more into accepting what it is that we desire, where the star grows a few more low wings and becomes the sun, it's stuck at the Moon because of the things that we're not willing to face and address. Because we can't see the sun behind the Moon that is the eclipse. It's like you walk into a space that's supposed to be light, but it's dark. It's because it's an eclipse. But we treat it as if it's the night. And that's like kind of sort of when we come into the difference between the, what did I say? The Yamiyoru, the dark night, and the Aksunade, brilliant dawn. Like the dark night will always be the dark night when you shut your eyes, and you can only want so much for people, you know. Eventually they have to do something for themselves. And here I am trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to get back into like my nights. I'm like, I'm ready to just be like soft and cuddly and lovey, but I guess my personal life. Ooh, the sun and the moon was just at the cut. And the sun won out. Hopefully this one will be lighter. The hate you give just popped into my mind. For some reason. Maybe someone's in like a lower vibration, expecting to get to a higher vibration, and I don't know if that's how that works. The Hierophant. I don't think a card fell. It looked like it was about to. The Hierophant with the anchor at the bottom of the deck. Majors. Majors. The Hierophant is the Hierophant. The anchor is the Emperor in this deck. In this deck, they remove gender. So we have the pillar and the anchor instead of the Emperor and the Empress. And then we have conquerors and rulers. No, we have sovereigns and rulers instead of kings and queens. Or queens and kings. So the Hierophant is here. Meaning that we have everything that we need. We just have to have the wisdom with that to apply it where it fits or in the proper portions with that moon card. Moon card with that crescented moon energy. And then on the bottom of the deck is the anchor. And that Two of Swords behind the anchor, it references our decision-making process. Or at least the realm of thought. And whether or not we tend to what's easy or whether or not we tend to overcoming challenge. Because again, with that Six of Pentacles energy, it's like the internal stability, internal resolve, internal peace and serenity is reflected externally. So even if the situation that you're in isn't great, if you maintain that internal peace and that trust and that belief, then it creates an eye in the middle of that storm. And it's not to say that you're not going to have things to go through, but it is to say that you have the opportunity to be able to weather any storm and to sort of be carried through it. Where even if the winds are raging and the thunder is cracking and lightning is streaking across the sky, you can still walk on water. Like, water ain't got to be calm for you to walk on it. Water is always water. The properties don't change just because it's moving around a little bit. But it's like, Peter, like, why did you doubt? You just fell right into the water. Like, you were doing it. Why did you doubt? But it can also be good with the anchor. Because as an Aries energy and with that ram on it, it's all about taking charge as well. And when we've dedicated ourselves to having more agency rather than just being at the mercy of everything that happens around us, it gives us the ability to be a little bit more proactive even when we are put in a position to be reactive. Because just like on the job, when you're asked to do things, when you're challenged to do things, life will prepare you in ways for greater challenges with smaller ones. And it's like, what's this? The Seven of Wands. I love the Pentacle in this Seven of Wands because there is a growth energy, but it's like it's holding the light in your own life even regardless of like those who may come against you with the Five of Wands at the bottom, it's like all of that conflict and that competition is being directed up, but these hands are up here are crossed with those two wands. And they're creating the light. Maybe they're just trying to get a light, but they don't know how to ask. So it comes across weird. I forgot what I was saying. The smaller challenges that life gives you to prepare you for the larger ones. It's like the larger ones are going to come. Evaluations are going to come. Trials and tribulations are going to come. So that's why it would benefit you to handle them when they are more doable. When it's not the whole world like literally falling down around you. When it's more minor, and it's always easier to run or to not face or to self-medicate or to do whatever. And if you want the type of life where you are constantly and continuously self-medicating whenever anything bad happens, then like you should be fine. Like that's the life you want. But if you want anything better than that, eventually you're going to have to start breaking the habit. Eventually you're going to have to start doing something different. And it's not easy. It's not difficult. I mean, it's not easy. It is difficult. I don't think it's meant to be easy. But it's doable. And you got to start somewhere. I want to pull one of these. This is... Maybe I'll just take a break or something. Because I'm like, oh, I'm ready to just be like lighthearted and fun. But I guess someone's got to say it. And you can take the challenge or you cannot. Like, I'm not here to... Like, I know that life is hard and it's difficult and things aren't as easy as we talk about or as I talk about. But again, like eventually, if you want different, if you want better, you're going to have to start doing something different. You're going to have to start responding better. Because that's the only way something's going to change. And again, if you don't want anything to change, then disregard everything I'm saying. But if you do, you got to start somewhere. I'll take this one. Oh, it's a few of them. Oh, that's more than I bargained for. This is 5 cards. So, Goddess of the Moon with Archangel Gabriel. I feel like this is something that you need to speak to, that you've been knowing that you need to speak to. Again, it's this feeling of like you're trying to manifest something, Spirit is guiding you towards something, and it requires more of your presence. It requires input. But for whatever reason, you don't want to give it because of the storm warning here. Maybe you're afraid of what it might change. You're afraid of what the result will be. But it's like if you do nothing, nothing changes. So at least if you speak to something, A, it has the opportunity to become what you want it to. And B, if it's not going to be that, then at least you know and you can move forward and move on to something else. It's like sometimes we try to fit in spaces so hard that we sacrifice and we remain silent and we endure misery because it's like, well, if they knew the truth, then maybe they wouldn't like me. But it's like, if they don't like me, if they knew the truth, then they don't like me. And I'd rather go find a place where I am liked and where I can fit in rather than trying to continuously shove myself into a little box that I know I don't fit into so somebody might like me. Like, I've never really been the type of person to do that. Like, I've been the type of person to sabotage my happiness in a lot of ways, but if I'm not for you, I'm not for you, and that's fine. Because there are like a whole bunch of people who aren't for me. And I'm not gonna ask somebody to be anything that they're not just so that they're more palatable to me. Like, no. I'd rather be alone, honestly, than to be surrounded by people that like I don't really see it for or who don't really see it for me. It's like I'm not that afraid of being alone. The card after that is the Angel of Balance after the storm warning, followed by walking away. And I feel like either it's going to come together and it's going to be balanced, or it's not and you're going to move on. But honestly, I think sometimes it's like we look at it as a win-lose, but it's in reality, it's like a win-win. Excuse me, because again, like if that's not a space that's for you, then it's like it's never gonna be. Life is too short and too precious to be wasting time in places where there's no happiness or where there's no joy. Or it's like, wouldn't you rather be doing something that you enjoy with people who can accept you for who you are and who love you for who you are? Not only accept you, but who also love you for who you are. And I feel like with the goddess of the moon, it feels like there's a space, there's a place that is for you. It just requires more, it requires you to be more open and more vulnerable. Maybe you've never found acceptance before. Maybe you won't find it here. Maybe you will. And if you don't, it's like grief and sorrow it's a natural human emotion. It's a natural reaction to a lot of things, and it's not for us to try to eliminate it, but it's also not for us to be stuck in it. It reminds me of the Five of Pentacles in the Tarot Apocalypse. And I'll just read it because the book puts it so beautifully that I'll just read it instead of trying to remember or recall what it said. Who dat? The Two of Swords opened up to the Two of Swords. There's the Queen of Wands. Where am I going? Five of Pentacles, Three of Cups, Ten of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles. It says, oh, it might be the Five of Cups. It's the Five of Cups. I should have known it was the Five of Cups. It's the card I see all the freaking time. I see it all the time. Or I saw it all the time. That's the Six. Okay. It says, I should have put on the other ones. That don't say that. I am going to put on the other ones, because why waste time trying to struggle with a pair of glasses when I can just put on the ones that will make me easily see? See? Life, everything is a metaphor for everything. And we're taught and we're prepared in so many ways when we pay attention and when we face those challenges. If we don't do it, then it's like, how else do you expect to succeed? I don't know. Magic, maybe. So, shrouded by my mantle, you may wail and tear at your cheeks, beat your fists and rage at the heavens. I will hold you like the boat that carries sailors over storm-tossed seas. Beware that my embrace becomes too familiar. I have fingers that cling. Know that this is not my choice, but yours, for it is your hand that presses my fingers to shut closer on your heart. And that's when we take it too far, right? It's like all of those are emotions that we have the right and the responsibility and the duty to ourselves to feel, to honor those things that pass. But careful that you cling onto that to the point where it shuts your heart. And that is self-inflicted. Other people can put us into that space, but other people can't break us. We make the choice and the decision to be broken. And it's a lot easier to make when you face constant misery and suffering, I know. But at the end of the day, it's a choice that you make. And I'm not gonna, I don't know, where I'm at now, it's like I'm not gonna change and sacrifice who I am because of people who don't see it for me, or people who don't appreciate me, or situations that aren't for me. It's like, okay, that's not for me, but I'm not gonna change who I am because I like who I am. I like being loving and carefree, and I wish I could do it more. If I gotta be this, then I will be this, of course. But I would prefer to, whatever. And yin yang, it's a balance. So that's what I got. That, I mean, honestly, it's the Six of Pentacles, though. You give what you get. And if you don't give completely, you don't get completely. If you don't, it's like I feel like so many times we look to other people to give us things that we're not even giving them. And it's like we don't give it because, like, you know, we don't want to be hurt again, or we don't want to be this again, we don't want to be that again. It's like, fine, okay, whatever. That's valid. Cool. But also, like, if you're not giving it, don't expect to get it either. And then it's like we ask for more than we're capable of receiving sometimes too, because of all the other stuff that we're holding on to. And it's like Six of Pentacles, man. All right, well, that's what I got. I hope you have a good whatever. And I hope you're acting in alignment to make that what you wish to experience your reality. I hope you are facing the things that you need to face to accept and embrace the things that you want to accept and embrace. Because at the end of the day, like, no one else can take responsibility for that. Even the people who hurt you, even the people who have wronged you, like, them taking responsibility for their actions does not look like all of the hurt and the pain and the trauma and the misery that you suffered through because of them being undone. Like, that undoing is something that you have to do. That healing is your own. And a lot of times, I think sometimes when we go a certain amount of time without an apology or without an acknowledgement of how someone else hurt us, we think that when that comes in, everything will magically be solved and healed and the pain will go away. But I don't think that that's necessarily the case. And an apology, an acknowledgement, it can only give you as much closure as you're willing to give yourself in that moment. Because you can get an apology but not accept it. You could get a sincere apology from someone, but you could be so far into the narrative of hurt and pain that you take it as insincere. You can get truth from someone, but you hold and you cling so tightly to what has closed your heart that you don't hear the truth. You don't hear sincerity. You're incapable of seeing it because you don't want to. And there are a lot of miserable people who don't want to be miserable, but more than they don't want to be miserable, they don't want to do the things that will put them in a position to not be. And so they're continuously externally looking for something or someone who will come in and take all that misery away. And it's not that, like, you can't find love and blah, 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 whatever, but it'd probably be very difficult for you to accept it when you do find it. Or maybe you can accept it a little bit, but then you get triggered here and you get triggered there because, again, you never really fully deal with the things that happen to you. And it's tragic and it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's like, you're the only person who can do that for you. You're the only person who can free you from all of that. And it doesn't matter how much validation you get from the outside, it doesn't fill what only you can give you. And that's that wall of roses that's separated. Like, that's what divine timing is. When you become someone capable of doing that for yourself, then you're able to receive it from others more fully, at the very least. Because until you do, there's always going to be a blockage on the love that you receive and a limiter on the love that you give. And we can only give other people what we can give them. If they need more than that, that's a them thing. That's within you to do. Now, I'm talking about, like, actual love, not like, I don't know, something like manipulative, like, I'll give you this much love and then you do this, and then I'll give you some other stuff that's not love, but before you leave I'll give you more love so you don't leave. It's not that. Like, we can love someone truly, genuinely, authentically, what's the word, unconditionally. You can love someone else unconditionally, but then they have conditions on the love that they receive. and they have conditions on the love that they give. And so even though the love that you give is unconditional, it passes through so many filters to get to them that they accept it as conditional. And at that point, again, it's on them. There's nothing that you can do for people like that. And we're all people like that until we do it for ourselves, because we all go through life. Some of us just decide eventually that enough is enough and things have to change, and we actually do it. Instead of just talking about it, or instead of doing a little bit, but then as soon as things get difficult, we run away and it's like, oh, I'm having another dark night. And I don't like that I talk about it like that sometimes, but like, that's what it is. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to continue to have dark nights until you like deal with this, until you handle this. Like, what else do you expect? And that's why I say that, like, binaural beats and Reiki and all of these other things that like align your chakras and that clean your chakras, like they're supplements. They don't substitute. Like sounds that you listen to are not a substitute for you working through the traumatic events that happened in your life. Somebody putting a little bit of energy in you to try to jumpstart your own is not a substitute for you working through the traumatic events in your life. And I don't know, it's the way that I approach my own journey. It's the way that I've worked through some of like literally the biggest blockages that I've had in my life that don't affect me to the degree that they did by far. Where it's like I hear people like, yeah, I hit this dark night again, and whew, and I'm just like how? Like, are you not doing what it is that you think you're doing? Because that shouldn't be the case. And it's like, yeah, we always have scars from healing. Yes, nobody's perfect. But I feel like sometimes we use those as excuses to not do what we can do. Or we use those as excuses to not put in any actual effort. And I'm not there anymore. But again, like you can only want so much for other people. You can't do someone else's work for them, and you can't love someone hard enough for them to begin to love themselves. Unfortunately. Wow. I guess I went there today. It's just, I don't know, I have such high hopes, I guess, for a lot of people, for the world in general. But I know that it requires for us to do a lot of the things that we've been putting off for a very long time. And then we're like, oh my gosh, it's 2020. First it was like, it's 2012, it's 2013, it's 2014, it's 2015, it's 2016, it's 2017, it's 2018, it's 2019, it's 2020, it's 2021. Why are we still dealing with this? And it's like, okay, well, when did we ever fully address it? When you do a little bit of something sometime and you think it solves everything? No. You put in bare minimum effort, less than bare minimum, because if we put in bare minimum, then we wouldn't be, at the very least, still talking about the things that we're talking about now. It's this year and we're still dealing with this. Oh, these transits are coming in. We haven't seen these transits since 1472, and last time this happened, everything fell apart. So expect for everything to fall apart. And it's like, you're telling me in more than 500 years we haven't learned anything to the point where we're repeating this again? And this is something that people just accept? See, now I'm about to get mad. I feel myself getting irritated. So this is where I'm going to close this. I honestly, genuinely, truly hope that you begin to do the things in your life that liberate you from what it is that you desire to be liberated from, and that align you to experience all of what there is to experience in this life. But again, I can't want that or wish that or manifest that for you any more than you're actually willing to do the work to receive it. So That's what I got. Might put a chili pepper on this one. I will. I ain't gonna put like 3 chilies or 2 chilies. It'll be like 1 chili pepper on this. If you made it this far, congratulations. You have what it takes to make your life better. If you didn't make it this far, congratulations. You have what it takes to make your life better. Like, we all have what it takes. One person isn't any more chosen than another person. One person doesn't get any more love from God or creator or the universe or whatever system of love that you subscribe to than somebody else. Are there people who are like predispositioned to do it because maybe they've done something similar before? Yes, but does that mean that those are the only people who are capable of it? No, of course not. You get like geniuses all the time. And it's somebody like, oh, I spent like 10 years, 25 years, 40 years doing this, and you just come on the scene and like you're better than me with no history or no practice. Like, yes, I am. It's a natural gift. You mad? It's like, yeah, of course I'm mad. I'm like, why? Like, why? Why are you upset? Maybe you should have found one of the things that you're good at instead of being in that moon energy trying to whatever. Anyway, South Node, Sagittarius. That's all I gotta say. South Node is in Sagittarius right now. North Node is in Gemini. Okay? Take that as you will, as you take everything. I'm sorry. Alright, I'll leave.